Every few years, a handful of inventions quietly appear that make you realize the version of the world you grew up in is already being replaced, and the ones coming out right now in 2026 are moving faster than anything we have seen before. Invention 1. Wingsuit Foil. For decades, the limitation of wingsuit flying was simple and absolute. You could only go down, never up. And the moment you stopped descending, you were done. The wingsuit foil changes that entirely by attaching a specially designed wing foil to the suit that generates sustained lift, allowing pilots to gain altitude mid-flight the way birds do by riding air currents rather than simply falling through them. Austrian pilot Peter Salzmann proved it was real by soaring for over 2 minutes, climbing higher as he flew, carving precise turns along mountain ridges on nothing but moderate wind, and a design that should not technically work as well as it does. Invention 2. XPeng Aero HT Land Aircraft Carrier. The question of how to deal with traffic has produced a lot of answers over the years, but very few of them involved building a 6-wheeled, all-electric vehicle that carries a flying car in its rear compartment and doubles as a mobile launchpad. The XPeng Aero HT does exactly that, with a driving range of over 620 miles and enough power stored for 6 vertical takeoffs and landings on a single charge, all in a vehicle designed to fit in a standard parking space and priced under $300,000 with production planned for 2026. It is not a concept. It is a vehicle being built right now for people who genuinely need to go both off-road and airborne on the same trip. Invention 3. Talon A2 Hypersonic Vehicle. Everything about hypersonic flight testing until now has had the same expensive problem. You build the vehicle, you fly it once, and then it is gone, either burned up or crashed into the ocean, which means the next test costs just as much as the first. One, and produces only marginally more data. Stratolaunch's Talon A2 ended that problem by becoming the world's first fully recoverable hypersonic flight vehicle, launched from a carrier aircraft, fired past Mach 5, and then glided back and landed safely in a condition ready to fly again. The implications for how quickly hypersonic technology can now be developed and tested are significant enough that aerospace engineers called it one of the most important flight demonstrations of the decade. Invention 4. Triton Deep View Submarine. Most people will never see what 80% of the planet's surface actually looks like because it sits underwater that no recreational vessel can reach, and the vehicles that can reach it have historically been built for scientists rather than anyone else. The Triton Deep View Submarine changes that calculation with panoramic, crystal-clear windows, quiet electric propulsion, advanced life support systems, and a modular design that can be configured for private exploration, commercial tours, or scientific research depending on what the mission requires. It is the first submarine built with the specific intention of making the deep ocean accessible to people who are not professional oceanographers. And it does that without compromising on the engineering required to actually survive down there. Invention 5. EHang EH206 Autonomous Air Taxi. The flying taxi concept has existed as a promise for long enough that most people stopped taking it seriously, but the EHang EH216 arrived with something none of its competitors had managed to produce: an actual airworthiness certificate from a Civil Aviation Authority, specifically the Civil Aviation Administration of China in October 2023, which means this is no longer a prototype or a concept render, but a certified aircraft that 2 passengers can board and fly autonomously at speeds up to 81 miles per hour across distances of around 22 miles. The certification alone separates it from everything else in this category because every other autonomous air taxi is still waiting for the regulatory approval that the EH216 already has. Invention 6. Ocean Cleanup AI System. The original ocean cleanup system worked by waiting for plastic to drift into its path, which is a reasonable approach until you consider that the ocean is enormous and plastic moves constantly in ways that are difficult to predict. The upgraded version uses AI-powered drones and machine learning to track plastic in real time as it moves with waves and currents, predict where it will drift next, and direct cleanup vessels to the exact location rather than the approximate one, making operations up to 10 times faster than the previous approach. The target is a 90% reduction in floating ocean plastic by 2040, and the AI upgrade is what actually makes that number mathematically achievable rather than aspirational. Invention 7. Airbus Vahana Autonomous Air Taxi. What makes the Airbus Vahana worth paying attention to is not that it flies, because a lot of things fly, but that it does so autonomously, electrically, and quietly enough to be viable in a dense urban environment where noise ordinances and airspace regulations make conventional aircraft impossible. Built as a test platform for the flying taxi market with multiple rotors allowing vertical takeoff and landing in very tight spaces, zero emissions, and a design philosophy focused specifically on the kind of short urban trips that currently produce the most traffic congestion. The Vahana represents Airbus's bet on what city transportation looks like when the roads simply cannot absorb any more vehicles. Invention 8. Volatile floor. Disney Imagineers have produced a lot of impressive things over the decades, but the volatile floor created by Lanny Smoot is genuinely difficult to explain without watching it, because the concept of a floor that moves in any direction sounds straightforward until you see multiple people walking on it simultaneously, each moving naturally in their own direction, while all of them stay in exactly the same physical spot. Built from hundreds of small hexagonal tiles, each capable of tilting, rotating, and sliding independently, with smart sensors tracking multiple users and preventing collisions in real time. The Holotile is the closest thing to a real-world teleporter that currently exists and its applications for immersive entertainment, training, and performance are only beginning to be understood. Invention 9. Heart Aerospace ES-30. Regional aviation has been one of the most resistant sectors to electrification because the energy density requirements of carrying 30 passengers across meaningful distances simply exceeded what battery technology could deliver until now. The Heart Aerospace ES-30 solves that with a hybrid electric system that runs primarily on batteries with onboard generators as backup, slashing carbon emissions, cutting noise significantly below conventional turboprop levels, and reducing operating costs enough to make smaller regional routes financially viable for the first time. It is specifically designed to connect smaller cities and communities that have been priced out of the commercial aviation network, which means the ES-30 is not just a cleaner aircraft, but a genuinely different argument for who gets to fly. Invention 10. Sense Robot Chess. The gap between playing chess on a screen and playing chess at a real board has always been the tactile experience of moving physical pieces. And the Sense Robot Chess closes that gap with a 4-axis robotic arm that picks up and moves standard chess pieces, using a 3-finger grip precise enough to handle the full range of piece sizes without adjusting its technique. With 26 adjustable AI difficulty levels from complete beginner up to a rating of 3,200, thousands of interactive exercises, 145 endgame challenges, and voice-guided coaching that gives feedback as you play, this is not a novelty chess set. It is a serious training tool that happens to also be one of the most satisfying physical objects to play against that the chess world has seen. 10 inventions in 2026, and every single one of them is already beyond the prototype stage and moving toward the world you are going to be living in. Drop a comment telling us which one you think will change daily life the fastest. Check the end screen right now, because we have more technology breakdowns sitting there that cover everything these videos could not fit.